Hello YouTube, I'm that odd kid from school, and today I'll be showing you how to shim an AEG gearbox. Alright, I have this spare gearbox just lying around. It has 6mm steel bushings, and I'll be trying to shim these gears, which is just some standard gears I had lying around. And I will be using also just some random shims I had just lying around for a while now. And of course I'll be using some gear grease. Alright, first thing you want to do is make sure your bushings are all the way in there, especially if you just put new bushings in there. Secondly, you want to start shimming, of course. Some people like to do it differently. I like to start with the spur gear. Other people like to start with the bevel gear. That's the center sector gear, if you're curious about that. Alright, so we will fit the spur gear into the this bushing in the middle and see how it spins. Alright, it seems to be spinning. Alright, it's not hitting any of the other bushings, so that's good. Alright, after I put the spur gear in there, I personally like to put the sector gear in there. So let's just do that. We put it into the hole where it goes, and we check it to see how it is. Alright, I don't know if you can see this or not, but the sector gear and the spur gear are touching each other, which is gonna mean you'll get some premature wear on your gears if you don't shim it. So we will just shim it right now, and we will start by removing the sector gear. And we will take a shim, we will put it right there where the sector gear goes. We then place the sector gear back there, and we look again. Still looks like they're touching, so take another shim. Yeah, that's my computer. Anyway, we'll take another shim, put it on there. You can also place the shims on the axle of the sector gear if you like that better. I just do it this way. Alright, let's place it in there. And there's just a tiny little gap between the sector gear and the spur gear now, which is perfect. Just right where you want it to be. So, lastly, take the bevel gear and place it right there. And we look at it, and there is, I don't think you can see this, my camera's not doing so well. However, the spur gear is not touching the bevel gear, so they're shimmed pretty good. And, alright, now we take the other half of the gearbox and we just place it on top here. Place it on top, make sure it fits all the way, and we then check the fitment of the gears, or how they fit. And if we push a little on them here on the gears, we can see that the sector gear is just a little loose. The spur gear here seems to be in there pretty good. The bevel gear is very loose, so we're gonna have to reshim that. Alright. So, just take that apart, and well, you may notice that one of the bushings got stuck in the bevel gear. So just put that back in there, and we will take a new shim, and we will put it on the bevel gear, and we put the other half of the gearbox on there as well. And we again we check the fitment, and if some of the gears are too loose or too tight, we either put shims on there or remove the shims, just until the gears rotate very, very smoothly, and that will make your gears live a lot longer. Alright, it's time to grease the gears, and we do this by removing our newly shimmed gears. You may notice that the little bushing here came off, which is normal. I like, personally, to start by greasing the bevel gear, or the spur gear. I like to put some grease on the back side, and some grease in the lower tooth rack, and then some grease right here on the upper tooth rack and on the lower tooth rack, and then of course on the axle up here. Alright, now I have greased the spur gear. You may be able to see some of it on there. And after that, I like to grease the sector gear, and I usually start by putting a little grease on the lower axle and the thing for the cutoff lever here, and then I like to put some grease on the lower tooth rack, and then some grease on the half tooth rack that pulls the piston back, and of course a little grease on the one that pulls back the tappet plate. And then after that, I like to put some grease on the top axle, and then I just insert them into the mechbox, and I spin them around a little bit. On your spur gear, you should be getting like little waves in the grease when you spin them, and that means that you have made a good shim job on it. And then lastly, when I like to grease the little bevel gear here, and I start from the bottom with the bottom axle, then the lower tooth rack right there, and then the little slots for the anti-reversal latch, and then I grease the teeth rack that makes contact with the motor, and then the top and the upper axle. Alright, so you just saw my shimming tutorial, and I think there are little details so I may have missed. It's when you shim the gears, it's alright for them to be just a little bit loose. If they're too loose, they're going to be wobbling around and hitting each other and damaging everything in your gearbox. And if they're too tight, they're not going to spin very well, and you're just going to end up jamming the whole thing. So it's all about finding a good balance between how loose they are and how tight they are. So well, thank you for watching this.